Hey, it is the Lion Queen. If this is your first time on my channel, I want to say welcome and thank you for giving me some of your time. So today I want to talk to you guys about 10 important books that I think you should read this Black History Month. And if you can't get them all this month, read the rest of them throughout the year. Without further ado, let's get into this video. Number 1, Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington. One of the most important books of a generation. This book kind of like it it's an autobiography, but it also gives historical context on what our struggle was as African Americans and what it yet is. It's a great read. It's a short read. It's only about 200 something pages. And yeah, if you have not read this book before, it's a classic. So you have to read it. It's like, get the book and read it. Okay. Number 2 on my list. I'm currently reading this book, and honey, come here. It's real. Like the struggle. It's real, and the way this book just intertwines an autobiography with historical context, with just action and emotion and just I just want to hit something type of, it's just so good, y'all. And it's Asada by Asada Shakur, an autobiography, and it's so compelling, it's so necessary. It's just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next, oh my gosh. And so you have to read this book. It weaves a little bit of humor in there just to like dilute the struggle of reading it. It is very thick with depth of what has happened to her. And yeah, I mean, if you haven't read this book, if it's not on your coffee table, if it's not next to you on your nightstand, technically don't put it on your nightstand, put the Bible there. But if it's not in like a bookcase of yours, what are you doing? Like, Black Intellectual, get yourself Asada, an autobiography by Miss Asada Shakur. Number 4, another autobiography, To Die, To Die for the People. Well, it's not necessarily an autobiography. It's a book of his writings and his speeches, but it's an amazing book by Huey P. Newton. If you don't know who that is, that's why you should read this book. And I'll actually be doing videos each day this month of February, pertaining to important historical figures in the African American community and in American history as a whole, that we may not talk about, we may not know, or we may not have heard of. And this will be great for students, for kids. If you just have children of your own, you want them to learn about their history, come back on this channel every day this month of February, and we will definitely be giving you something to look forward to. So, To Die for the People is number 3 on my list. An important book. Just, man, listen. 2000, I think it was 15 or 16, I got the opportunity to meet Mr. Bobby Seale, and my heart was just like, right, even still now, it's just like, oh. And unfortunately, I cannot find at all the picture of me that I took when I met him. Hopefully I find that picture one day. But like, yeah, that, whew, child. Yeah, so it took me out. But it just gave me a lot of context and a lot of insight on the Black Panther Party, what they were, their tenets, what they truly were, who they truly were, and Huey for himself. So yeah, if you have not read this book, definitely go out and get that one. Number 4. Right? Yes, number 4. Yes. This is actually a children's. Let me correct myself. This is not a children's book, but it's a book by Scholastic, so it's recommended for about middle school, early high school age children, and I think this would be great for them. It is entitled Rebels Against Slavery, American Slave Revolts, and it literally talks about slave rebellions that we may not have heard of, important state rebellions, very known, some of them obviously, the Amistad. Love that book, man. Give me free. That movie is awesome. But also it talks about, this was the first time I had heard of Toussaint Louverture reading this book. Nat Turner reading this book. I mean, you get to rehearse and research for yourself these people through this book, and I think it'll be great for middle school age children to learn of their history, and that we did not just sit and take and be silent. This Black Lives Matter movement started because of these movements right here. So definitely a good read for any middle school or early high school age child. Number 5, Toni Morrison, A Mercy. This book just hey God, it's a novel, so it's a fiction book, but it's just so, it's dense in historical context, it's dense in just emotional, it tugs at your heartstrings. And if anyone, I mean, one of the best writers of our generation, Toni Morrison, has truly kind of like shifted your perspective on slavery. Not necessarily your perspective, but it puts you right on the plantation, and it sits you there, and it just makes you sit and feel those emotions. And this book is one of the best books of the year that it was released. And if you have not read Toni Morrison's A Mercy, you definitely should get this one. Number 7. I hope I'm on number 7. Nope, I'm on number 6, guys. I'm totally on number 6. Our Kind of People, Inside America's Black Upper Class by Lawrence Otis Graham. This book will shift your perspective on colorism, and it'll just be like, whoa, whoa, so that's where it comes from. Whoa, deltas, AKAs, whoa, whoa. It's just like, it's a page turner, guys, and it's just like, whoa. Well, it is kind of dense. The only thing I don't really like is that it was such a tiny font. You can't really read. I mean, you can read it, but you have to, like, if you're blind like I am, hence my glasses, it's kind of difficult to read because, like, you're blind. But this book is so important. It's great. It talks about the upper echelon of African American. I just ran a blank, guys. It talks about the upper echelon of African American community. I would say within the 30s and 40s, the elite class, and just it gives a lot about classism, colorism, the caste system that we yet perpetuate throughout our community as people. So this book will definitely, like, you know, put you in that space of like, ooh, I gotta change that. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Okay, that's why that was like that. You know, it'll give you kind of a really good perspective of why things are the way that they are. Our Kind of People by Lawrence Otis Graham. Inside America's Black Upper Class. Number 7, Holla If You Hear Me by Michael Eric Dyson, Searching for Tupac Shakur. This book is awesome. If you don't know me, y'all want to cancel him, you can't cancel him. Don't come for MED. If you don't know me, if you know me, you know I love Michael Eric Dyson. If you don't, you just don't know me. But I love me some MED, and this book is just awesome. It gives a contextual, kind of like biographical take on Tupac Shakur. It's interviews and it's text from Tupac, and it's just awesome. And obviously, Michael Eric Dyson is very, like, he loves hip hop, so to read the book is kind of like reading his language, and it's kind of cool to hear his take on Tupac Shakur through the lens of a black intellectual who just loves hip hop. So if you have not read this book, definitely a good read throughout the year. Trust me, Holla If You Hear Me, it kind of like gives a take on Malcolm X and how Tupac was influenced by so many different other genres and different people, and how all of that came together to form the Tupac Shakur that we know and love. So yeah. Number 8, The Struggle for Black Equality by Harvard Skidoff. The Struggle for Black Equality by Harvard Stickoff. This book is awesome. It just talks about the exact title. It's literally the struggles that we have faced for black equality. There's a certain part of the book, let me see here. It talks about, like, you know, the Kennedy administration, freedom rides, and I just love the historical context of the book, especially like freedom riders and things like that. And it gets in depth. If anyone knows me, y'all know I love me some John Lewis. So, you know, the struggle for black equality is such an important book. And I think it'll be just great to read on your own time, even if you don't read it during Black History Month. It'd be great if you do, but if you don't, just read throughout the year. And yeah, we're yet struggling to obtain this notion of black equality in a country that has not overwhelmingly throughout its history seen us as equal. So yeah, this has been an awesome book for me to read, and I'm probably going to read it again throughout this month. So there's that. And there's, you know, it just talks about the horror, the traumatic struggles that we yet face as a people. Number 9, one of my favorites as an educator, of course, All Deliberate Speed, Reflections on the First Half Century of Brown versus Board of Education. This book is basically by Charles J. Oakley Jr. I actually met the author of this book in 6th grade, so 2006, and I actually got it signed. There's his signature and stuff. Let me show you the front of the book. You know, it talks about how things were before Brown versus Board of Education. Here's his signature here. And it also talks about how things are and have been after the Brown versus Board of Education, you know, law that was put into place. So even now, you know, we talk about amazing things like Brown versus Board of Education, Brown versus Board of Education. Everything was free, everything was equal afterward. Yet and still today, there are great disparities between which side of the tracks you're on, what school you go to, what side of town you live on. And so this book delves deeper into Brown versus Board of Education. Yeah, it was great stride that was made for African Americans, but it did not solve all of our problems. And it's being done yet and still in all deliberate speed. The last book in the 10, and then we're going to have about four honorable mentions. The last book is Mark Lamont Hill. I also got this one signed, I believe. Did I? No. Yep, I did. Nobody by Mark Lamont Hill. Forward by Todd Brewster. Casualties of America's War on the Vulnerable, from Ferguson to Flint and Beyond. This book is awesome. I have a picture with Mark Lamont Hill. I'm probably going to insert that somewhere on this screen if I can figure out how to do that. If not, it'll be at the end of the video. And it's just an amazing book. The picture at the beginning of this book, do you understand? Sway. Look at, it's about to make me cry right now. Like, look at this. It's just the war on African Americans in terms of, you know, our black bodies, in terms of Ferguson and Flint and the struggle that we have yet and still to accommodate ourselves as the human people, to a country and to a police force that sometimes, I'm going to say sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes doesn't see us as human, but more so subhuman. So this book is awesome. If you have not read Nobody, you definitely need to read Nobody. It will remind you that you are somebody, even though this world and this country will try to showcase and tell you that you are not. Those are the 10 books that I think you should read throughout the entirety of Black History Month and throughout the entirety of Black History Year. So, without further ado, we're going to get into a few honorable mentions that I think you should just read on your casual time. This is actually, the first book that I have here is actually a play, and I actually have this because I did a cold reading of this play, and it is for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough, by Nsaki Shange. May she rest in peace. She passed this year. So actually, she passed last year, the end of last year. This book is just so important. I was the lady in blue, and the thing that really took me and really caught my eye with this with this play in general was the poetry in it, the beautiful poetic writing that she displayed in this, the emotion, the imagery is so strong in this play. You can't help but cry. You know, I still remember my my monologue for the Lady in Blue. You just gotta read it. I can't even tell you how to read it though. So yeah, it's awesome. If you have not heard of this play, if you have not seen this play, if you have not read the play, it's a must read. Definitely go do that. The next one is actually a new one, and you're probably like, why is this in with all of these amazing books? It's because as a black woman, this book kind of like showcased, and I see myself in this book. I'm yet reading it. Trust me, I do that. I'm a multiple book reader at the same time. Not good. But yeah, I'm yet reading this book, and I see so much of myself in this book by Gabrielle Union. We're going to need more Ryan. When she talks about, you know, just her desire to love herself through her blackness, I'm like, girl, that's me. Girl, that's me. Girl, that's me too. Like, it's so much in this book that you will, if you are an African American female, you, especially of a darker tone, you can definitely correlate to most of what she speaks of in this book. And it's just like, girl, we hear you, we see you, we love you. Thank you so much for telling our story. So we're going to need more wine by Gabrielle Union. A great read. Go get that, honey. Number 3 in our list of honorable mentions, A Raisin in the Sun by Lauren Hansberry. This is another play. An awesome play, obviously. If you've never heard of A Raisin in the Sun, if you've never seen the movie, if you've never seen the play, you must be a child because everybody knows what this is. And it's an awesome book, and I definitely encourage you to read it. It talks about a lot about like the desire for African Americans to. There's so many motifs and so many underlying depths to this that you have to unpeel like an onion. Just to understand exactly what is going on in this, and you need to know a little bit of historical context before reading. So I would say research Raisin Sun, research the historical context as to why and when this was taking place, and yeah, you will definitely not be disappointed. The last and final book is another Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye. This is one of the honorable mentions. If you're looking to see which one you want to read, I would say read Toni Morrison of Mercy, but this is one of the best ones. The Bluest Eye. It talks a lot about colorism as well. Just, you know, wanting something more than what you currently have. And I think this just talks about, you know, womanhood, black womanhood, in a way in which you can understand and correlate and just see yourself as well in this book. And those are my top books that you should read throughout the entirety of this Black History year. Once again, thank you for joining me on this channel. If you liked what you see, comment down below, like this video, and subscribe to my channel because there is much more where this comes from. What I want to tell you again is that this month I will be pushing out videos every day of the month. Doing sort of a mini biography on an African American inventor, an African American writer, an African American sports player, someone who has truly shaped the way in which we see ourselves in the arena of American history. And so I want to give you guys a bit of historical context this year and this month because obviously it's Black History Month. So if you have children, if you have a desire to know more yourself, come back on this channel tomorrow. There will be a new video up. And I want to say thank you once again. I love you guys. Bye. Hey y'all, it's the Lion Queen here. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my channel down below.